Picture for a moment that you possess literally everything society tells you to want.
Right.
Like, you are at the absolute peak of your physical prime. You are widely considered to be breathtakingly beautiful. You are a celebrated icon in your field, winning, I don't know, countless awards.
It's basically the dream.
Exactly. You have a fortune of over $300 million sitting in the bank. You are surrounded by talented, adoring people. I mean, you have fundamentally beaten the game of life.
You've won.
Yeah, you've won.
Okay.
Now imagine standing in a hotel room, looking out the window, and deciding that with all of those achievements, with all of that endless wealth and validation, the only logical next step is to jump off the 24th floor.
It's just a jarring, terrifying reality.
Yeah.
Because we spend our entire lives operating under this culturally ingrained equation, right? The idea that if you accumulate enough external success, well, you will eventually purchase internal peace.
Like it's a transaction.
Right, exactly like a transaction. And when we see someone achieve the absolute maximum of that external success and still find a void so deep, it consumes them. I mean, it fractures the entire foundation of what we are told to pursue.
And that profound fracture is our exact focus today. For this deep dive, we are digging into two deeply provocative, recently translated philosophical essays written in late 2024 and early 2025 by an author named Cheung.
Really fascinating text.
They really are. The first essay is titled Wealth, Honor, Beauty, and the Cheung Phenomenon, and the second is called Does Life Have Meaning?
Quite the title.
Yeah, setting the bar high. Our mission today is to pull apart these sources to examine why having absolutely everything might, in the grand cosmic scheme of things, mean nothing at all. And from there, we are going to walk through a pretty wild parable about human awareness, livestock, and the architecture of the universe itself. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the best entry point into Shufeng's worldview is the tragedy you just described in the hook. The first essay anchors its massive philosophical critique on the very real story of Leslie Cheung. This isn't just an abstract thought experiment for the author. It is a tangible historical data point.
Yeah, and for those who might not know, the essay lays out the staggering facts of Cheung's life. He was a megastar,
Massive.
a titan in the Asian music industry, and an incredibly celebrated film actor. And as the author points out, he had amassed that fortune of 300 million Hong Kong dollars.
Which is just an unfathomable amount of money.
Exactly. He had romance, he had talented and beautiful women around him, and he was universally beloved. But at age 46, he ended his life.
And what Shufeng does with this text is position Cheung's death not merely as, an isolated tragedy of mental health.
Oh, interesting.
Right. He frames it as undeniable proof of a systemic failure in human ambition.
Okay.
Cheung embodied the absolute zenith of human ideals: wealth, honor, beauty, and romance. He reached the summit of the mountain we are all frantically trying to climb.
So what does this all mean? When I read through this section, the analogy that kept jumping out at me was beating a massive open-world video game.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. It's as if Cheung had the ultimate cheat codes. He had unlimited in-game currency, he mapped every territory, and he unlocked every single rare achievement possible.
100% completion.
Exactly, a 100% completion rate. But then, standing there, the game itself felt hollow. I mean, there are no more levels to grind, there's no new armor to buy.
Yeah.
And the reward at the very end isn't lasting joy, it's just this creeping realization that the mechanics of the game never actually mattered in the first place.
The essay makes that exact argument.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the text explicitly states that whether his death was triggered by clinical depression or other unseen factors, the quote-unquote Leslie Cheung phenomenon establishes a definitive negative.
Meaning what, exactly?
It proves, without shadow of a doubt, according to the author, that wealth, honor, and beauty do not and cannot guarantee a life of happiness, joy, freedom, or fulfillment.
Right.
The external markers we chase are completely decoupled from our internal state of being.
And Shufeng takes this critique and points it directly at modern internet culture.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't open a social media app without someone trying to sell you a masterclass on achieving financial freedom.
It's everywhere.
We have turned passive income into a religion. We treat financial freedom as this magical threshold. The collective belief is that the moment your investments cover your living expenses, all your human suffering just magically evaporates.
And Shufeng is actively trying to shatter that specific illusion.
Yeah.
He points out that from a traditional perspective, Humanity has basically been running on a treadmill, chasing 5 major pursuits throughout history.
Which are?
Wealth, power, status, honor, and beauty.
The big 5.
The big 5.
Yeah.
But the author argues that both historical precedent and our current reality continuously show us that none of these 5 elements secure a wonderful life. Furthermore, bringing in his spiritual framework, he notes they certainly do not guarantee a place in heaven after death. They are essentially dead ends.
Now, before we go further, I have to step in real quick.
Sure.
Because Cheung doesn't just tear down modern capitalism or traditional ambition, he actually proposes a highly specific, very radical alternative.
He certainly does.
He claims to have discovered the true answer to life's pursuits after more than 20 years of exploration, writing thousands of articles, and 17 years of practical application.
A lot of groundwork.
Yeah, a ton. And the text asserts that true happiness and the hope of reaching heaven can only be achieved by embracing what he calls Lifechanyuan values and living a second home life of, quote, Cheung-style communism.
Yes, the essay makes a hard pivot there.
It really does.
It goes from a philosophical critique of individual ambition to advocating for a very regimented communal societal structure.
And just to be incredibly clear with you, the listener, our goal on this deep dive is to remain entirely impartial. We are not endorsing this communal, spiritual, or political ideology. We aren't advocating for Cheung-style communism or Lifechanyuan or any specific lifestyle.
We're just the messengers.
Right. We are simply unpacking the worldview exactly as the author presents it in the source material. But, I mean, we do need to understand the mechanics of his argument.
Of course.
How exactly does this Cheung-style communism supposedly fix the emptiness of the Leslie Cheung phenomenon?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the author's fundamental diagnosis is that individualism is a disease.
A disease, wow.
Yeah. He argues that the pursuit of personal wealth, personal honor, and personal beauty isolates you. When you are constantly competing for limited resources, trying to be richer, more powerful, or more beautiful than your neighbor, you are locked into a zero-sum game.
Which is exhausting.
Incredibly exhausting. That game breeds perpetual anxiety. So to Cheung, Lifechanyuan values and Cheung-style communism represent a structural cure. By pooling resources and eliminating the concept of private ownership over those 5 traditional pursuits, the community attempts to dissolve the individual ego.
Oh, I see.
You stop playing the video game of personal accumulation entirely, and instead operate as a harmonious collective unit.
Okay, I follow the logic that chasing sports cars and mansions doesn't buy happiness. I mean, that's a tale as old as time.
Right.
But I have to push back hard on Cheung's absolute rejection of individual ambition. Is he genuinely arguing that all individual drive is a toxic trap unless it's surrendered to the collective?
Essentially, yes.
But what about the ambition to, say, paint a masterpiece? What about a scientist who works 80 hours a week to discover a cure for a disease?
That's a classic counter-argument.
Right, because that's an individual pursuit, but it's a massive net positive for humanity. How can that possibly end in the same spiritual emptiness as, like, hoarding money?
It's a crucial distinction to make, but the text is uncompromising on this. Yeah. By listing the 5 major pursuits, wealth, power, status, honor, and beauty, the author is categorizing the underlying engine of individual striving as fundamentally flawed because it is almost always rooted in ego.
Even the scientist.
Even the scientist. If their underlying, perhaps subconscious motivation is to win a Nobel Prize, secure their legacy, or achieve historical honor, they have fallen back into the trap.
Wait, really? Even if the disease is cured and millions of lives are saved?
According to the framework of the essay, yes.
That is wow.
Because Cheung isn't evaluating the utilitarian benefit to society. He is evaluating the spiritual trajectory of the individual soul.
Oh, okay.
If the foundation of your action is individual glorification, even altruistic glorification, the structure built on top of it will eventually collapse.
Because it's still about you.
Exactly. You might save millions, but you will still end up spiritually bankrupt because you were feeding the ego, not transcending it.
Wow. That is an incredibly strict framework.
Very strict.
The idea that even our most celebrated noble individual ambitions might just be a shinier version of the same ego trap. If chasing legacy is broken and chasing wealth is broken, how does Cheung actually define a meaningful existence?
And that question leads us perfectly into the second essay we're examining. Does life have meaning?
Yes, it does.
And the author attempts to answer this massive existential question through a bizarre, almost comical parable about a pigsty.
It is quite a tonal shift, isn't it? Going from the tragedy of a celebrity suicide to a hypothetical conversation among livestock.
It's definitely a leap.
But it serves as a brilliant device to illustrate the limitations of our own perspective. So let's set the scene.
Go for it.
Imagine a muddy pigsty. Inside there are 10 pigs, and they are engaged in a deep philosophical debate about the meaning of their existence.
Yeah.
Naturally. First, the old pig speaks up. He is totally disillusioned. He looks around and says, "Life as a pig has absolutely no meaning. We spend our entire lives trapped in this sty, doing nothing but eating, drinking, sleeping, and rolling in the mud. There is no greater purpose."
The old pig is representing strict materialism or nihilism.
Right.
He observes his immediate physical reality, sees no transcendent value in the mud, and concludes the universe is empty of meaning.
Then a boar enters the chat. The boar strongly disagrees and says, "Hold on, you're forgetting about mating. Mating gives life meaning."
The pure hedonist.
Exactly.
He finds purpose entirely in biological drive, reproduction, and sensory pleasure.
Finally, a piglet chimes in. The piglet is completely innocent and optimistic. The piglet says, "Drinking our mother's milk and playing with my siblings in the sty makes life as a pig very meaningful."
And here we have the sentimentalist, finding purpose in immediate familial bonds, comfort, and social connection within the community.
You know, when I was reading this, I actually laughed out loud because this pigsty is a perfect mirror of any modern internet forum.
Oh, it really is.
You log onto social media and what do you see? You see the depressed nihilist claiming nothing matters, the hustle culture hedonist claiming pleasure and conquest are everything, and the innocent optimist saying that family and good vibes are all you need.
Spot on.
They are all just screaming at each other in the mud, completely convinced that their specific worldview is the ultimate objective truth of the universe.
And while they are debating the profound nature of the mud, the author introduces the next layer of reality. What's fascinating here is that standing just outside the sty, leaning on the fence, is the pig farmer.
Ah, yes, the farmer.
He's listening to these pigs debate nihilism versus family values, and he just starts laughing.
Because to the farmer, their entire debate is completely absurd.
Exactly. The farmer's internal monologue is fascinating. He thinks to himself, what do you know about the meaning of your existence? Your only purpose as pigs is to grow fat so that I can slaughter you and eat you. That's grim.
It is. But the farmer sees a brutal, functional utility that the pigs are structurally incapable of perceiving. The pigs genuinely believe the sty is the entire universe. The farmer knows the sty is just a temporary holding pen for his future bacon.
It's dark, but the logic is airtight. I mean, the pigs' internal debate whether they find meaning in the mud, the mating, or the milk is completely irrelevant to their actual objective function in the farmer's system.
It doesn't matter at all.
Right. Their philosophy doesn't save them from the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
But Zhuofeng doesn't stop with the farmer. He zooms the camera out even further.
The hierarchy of cosmic awareness continues to expand. Above the farmer, observing this entire interaction, is a Buddha.
Okay, a Buddha.
And the Buddha overhears the farmer laughing at the naive pigs, and the Buddha finds the farmer to be the laughable one.
It's the ultimate there's always a bigger fish scenario, but why does the Buddha think the farmer is a joke?
Because the Buddha operates on a completely different plane of logic, one governed by spiritual mechanics, specifically karma.
The Buddha thinks raising pigs is your duty as a farmer, but slaughtering and eating them negates your spiritual merits. By doing so, you'll have to start your spiritual journey all over from zero.
Oh, wow.
So the farmer believes he is the apex predator, the absolute master of the system. But the Buddha sees the farmer as a tragic, ignorant figure, blindly trapping himself in a cycle of karmic debt, completely unaware of the spiritual consequences of his Friday night dinner.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the author isn't done. He zooms out one final time to the absolute top of the cosmic architecture.
The highest level.
Right. Down in the sty, the pigs, presumably exhausted from arguing about the mud, decide to bypass the farmer and the Buddha altogether.
Right.
They all kneel down, look up to the sky, and pray directly to the greatest creator.
Going straight to management.
Exactly. They plead for an answer. What is the actual objective meaning of our life as pigs?
And to their surprise, the heavens answer. A deafening voice echoes down, revealing the ultimate truth of their existence.
Which is
the greatest creator tells the pigs that their current lives are entirely about repaying debts. In their previous incarnations, they lived recklessly. They harmed other living beings and accumulated massive cosmic debt.
Wait, so the pigs used to be humans? Or at least some higher-level entity that behaved terribly.
Exactly. They were entities that abused their free will. And the universe's accounting system demands repayment.
Karma.
Right. By living as pigs, by enduring the filth of the mud, the confinement of the sty, and ultimately the slaughter by the farmer, they're actively settling those cosmic debts.
Wow.
The voice from the heavens tells them that once the debt is fully paid, through their suffering as livestock, they can be freed from this lower existence and reincarnate back as humans. That karmic balancing act is the true ultimate meaning of their lives as pigs.
I just have to pause and marvel at the sheer absurdity of this chain of command. Look at how fractured reality is in this story.
It's incredibly layered.
You have the pigs, who think life is fundamentally about mud, milk, and mating. You have the farmer, who thinks the pig's existence is entirely about his own caloric intake.
Right.
You have the Buddha, who thinks the farmer is failing a massive spiritual test by eating the pigs. And finally, you have the greatest creator, who views the entire ecosystem, the pigs, the farmer, the mud, the slaughter, as a giant, elaborate accounting spreadsheet for past life karmic debt.
Everyone thinks they have the whole picture.
Yes. Every single layer of this hierarchy thinks they completely understand how the system works, and almost every single layer is dead wrong. Which leads me to the most uncomfortable question of this entire deep dive. Are we just the pigs in this scenario?
This raises an important question, and it's the exact punchline Xuefeng delivers at the conclusion of his essay. He writes that if you ask pigs whether their lives have meaning, they won't know the real answer.
Because they can't.
Right.
Yeah.
They simply cannot comprehend the true purpose of their existence because their cognitive tools are limited to what they can smell, taste, and touch in the sty.
Right.
They are biologically incapable of fathoming abstract concepts like karmic debt, spiritual merit, or reincarnation.
Right, they just don't have the hardware to run that software.
That's a perfect analogy. And the author's final, rather devastating conclusion is that human beings are in the exact same position.
We're the pigs.
We are the pigs. If you ask humans whether their lives have meaning, they won't really know either. According to Xuefeng, human beings simply cannot fully grasp the ultimate macro purpose of their existence. We are bound by the strict limits of our three-dimensional perception, just like the pigs are bound by the fence of the sty.
Wow. So we are right back to staring blankly at the wall after getting that big promotion.
Full circle.
We started this deep dive with the Cheung phenomenon, a man who built what society would consider the absolute most luxurious, perfect pigsty imaginable.
He had it all.
He had all the best mud, the highest quality food, the utmost status among all the other pigs in the pen. But those external markers didn't fulfill him because, ultimately, a gilded pigsty is still just a pigsty. It doesn't answer the deeper question of why we are actually here.
And that is the brilliant synthesis of the two essays.
Yeah.
The first essay deconstructs the false meanings we assign to our lives: wealth, honor, power, beauty. The second essay explains why we assign those false meanings in the first place.
Because we can't see the farmer.
Exactly. Because we are fundamentally incapable of seeing the larger cosmic framework. We obsess over the myth of financial freedom because we cannot perceive the farmer or the Buddha observing us from a higher dimension.
That makes so much sense.
We cling desperately to what is visible and tangible, our bank accounts, our job titles, our physical beauty, because the ultimate truth of the universe is invisible and incomprehensible to our current state of evolutionary awareness.
It is a profoundly humbling thought, and one that totally reframes how you look at the daily grind.
It really does.
So the next time you find yourself feeling completely overwhelmed by information overload, or you're losing sleep, stressing out over an arbitrary career goal, or you're chasing that mythical, ever-moving goalpost of financial freedom, I want you to remember the pigs arguing in the mud.
Great advice.
Take a step back and ask yourself, are you just chasing the next meal without seeing the farmer? Are you treating the absolute limits of your current perception as the absolute limits of the entire universe?
It requires a massive recalibration of the human ego. It's the realization that our most fiercely defended convictions about success, legacy, and purpose might be the exact equivalent of a pig arguing that the highest possible good in the universe is a warm patch of mud.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own. It builds on everything we've explored today, but it kind of flips the perspective.
Lay it on me.
If Xuefeng is right, and human beings truly cannot comprehend the ultimate cosmic meaning of our existence, just like the pigs cannot comprehend the farmer's ledger, then does the actual pursuit of meaning even matter? Or is our desperate, blind search for meaning the only thing that actually keeps us from giving up and just rolling in the mud?